We are live. Welcome to week
live.
4.
Coast to coast and in the Midwest.
Yeah. Welcome to week 4 of Talking Tangos with AngelAngieKC out here in Northeast Oklahoma. I don't say a town because there is no town anybody would recognize. Although I take that back. Veneta, where Gary Busey's dad was from, is literally 20 miles from me.
Well, WeHoScott here in Southern California, in Studio City. Well, some people might know where that is.
All righty.
All right.
So this week was Most Memorable Year Week, which...
And that meant built-in sob story packages were like unavoidable. They were part of the shtick. Yeah,
well, unavoidable. Yeah, some of them were unavoidable, but I think they worked. Some of the people worked kind of hard to get the sob in there. So
some of them were naturally emotional. So.
Right. So no Tom Bergeron this week, and boy, did I miss him.
Boy, did I miss him. I got to tell you, you realize how much he's a part of the show. And not that Alfonso didn't do an okay job. I mean, he was fine. He knows how to read off the prompter and be funny. It's just not the same. I've said for several years now, this is the best gig Tom Bergeron's had. It's custom made for him. And he just, it's sort of like Idol without Seacrest, but even more so because I think Tom has a little more flavor, Yeah,
I did not realize what a... Excuse me, I'm adjusting here. Did not realize what a big fan I was of his. Well, I did know what a big fan I was, but I didn't realize how much I would miss him.
Right. That was my reaction. Love that Erin was there, though. She held down the fort from her end. So.
Yes. So no opening number, just kind of a preview of kind of what we were going to see throughout the night. And so we kind of went straight into couple number 1, who was Alexa and Mark. Doing the Foxtrot, and Alexa's chosen year was year 2000, which was the year she booked Spy Kids.
Right. Which was good because I still don't really, I mean, given my age or whatever, I don't know that much about her. So, it was interesting to learn. I thought their Foxtrot was pretty good. Their scores were what, 777s?
They were.
In the end, when I look at the whole night, and we'll get to it, but, there were a bunch of 9s given out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Alexis and Mark deserved like the 3rd lowest score of the night. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, basically there was one little slip there at the end, right?
Right. It's very tough when you go up first because
it was
sort of like the judges are. There's nothing to really set it on, and sometimes you suffer, or sometimes it's unfairly high.
Right. Well, last night I felt it was like she got the first worst.
Right.
Curse.
Right.
So yeah, couple number 2 was Gary and Anna doing a jazz number. That'll be the day from 1979, the year he did Buddy Holly.
Right. It made sense that he would pick that. It's his big thing.
Yeah, and I did like the fact they also included his motorcycle accident.
Right.
Maybe a little bit of an explanation about what's going on in his brain.
Right.
There's just a few synapses not quite firing, not connecting in there. So
I also think the injury, which happens a lot with people who've had head injuries, takes away the filter, so to speak, when you talk. So the previous week, or was it the previous week or the one before, where I felt there was a little nastiness, and the filter is gone.
Right.
But he also has got some cool things last night, and I thought his scores were appropriate. I thought, he's never going to be any better. He's not in the best shape in his 70s. He's kind of lumbering. He's not graceful, but he did better than he did for a couple of other dances. So
yeah, and I thought Anna did a really good job with him.
I love her
this season. She's terrific. If you get a chance, I was gonna say, if you get a chance, watch her on the AfterBuzz TV stuff. She's great on that for Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, so they ended up with 5.65. Julianne gave him a 6. So scored 16, and they were the couple that was eliminated, and I kind of felt like it was time. Sometimes I felt like doing this was almost more of a burden on him, than
I get a little hot and cold of picking these types of contestants, but you know, sometimes it's kind of fun. I mean, Cloris Leachman, you know, she wasn't going to go very far, but boy, was she fun. So
Yeah.
I see why it's a TV show, and I see why they do it. You know, it's
Yeah.
not just about true dancing. You know, it's a fun
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Well, that's why Bill Engvall lasted as long as he did, because he was fun. And Drew Carey lasted longer than he probably would have if he didn't have the personality.
And some of these guys turned out a little better than I thought they'd be. I remember before I was solidly watching, I did catch Jerry Springer on one. Probably was the season before Helio won. I guess it was when I was starting to check in on the show. And I'm thinking, look at Jerry Springer. It's like, it was like week 4, like last night. It was week 4. But he was up thinking to myself, all right, he's doing better than I thought. I thought he'd be the joke. And yeah, not such a joke. He was keeping up. Yeah, you never know.
So yeah,
so next,
Gary and Anna went home. We had Tamara and Val doing a rumba.
Right.
And
I liked it. I know we've had issues with them connecting, but it was solid. And
scores was. I mean, I have problems with singers doing their current single.
I know.
Or their new single. It's like, yeah, man, it's such a promotional thing. It's like, this kind of feels like why you're doing the show.
And why do I think that song they opened the show with, was that Andy Grammer's? I'm actually not familiar with his current song. I thought if that was his, it was a little weird that they would do that. But
I don't even remember what they opened. I'd have to go back and watch and see what they opened the show with. Yeah. Although I kind of like a softer, more fluid rumba.
I agree.
Val's rumba, I mean, there's an awful lot of sharp, almost staccato movements in there, and I tend to like it more fluid. But although Bruno came back and said it was a true proper rumba,
right? So, I do think her package was good. It was a good backstory with her husband and the stroke, and you know, it wasn't like too overly done, but it was very emotional. It did get a lot of people there. So
yeah, he had PEs. He had blood clots in his lungs. He had multiple PEs.
Right. So that was
pulmonary embolism. Sorry.
Yeah.
But Carrie Ann, I don't know. That was the first cry fest for her, and I was just kind of like, oh, it's only couple number 3.
Yeah, really.
And we're already with the crying so much she can't talk.
Right.
But anyway, they got 3 9s, which, you know, it was a pretty dance.
Yeah, it was.
And executed well. I still have issues with their connection, you know?
I know.
So we'll see. Couple number 4 was Hayes and Emma doing a contemporary.
Very nice.
To Stitches. He picked 2014. How many years does he have to choose from? You know, he's 15 years old. Right. And it was, since I'm not up on the whole Vine phenomenon, it was actually kind of nice to see where they came from. Right. My first watch through, I said, really nice. My second watch through, I was like, wow. I think I had a better quality video when I watched it the second time.
Yeah, I was a little sleepy. I did. You know how when you're watching something and you're having a tired evening, and sometimes you kind of like hit that point in the middle of the show. I really don't think I'm blaming them. It was me, and then I kind of perked up.
Yeah.
So, and then I walked the dog and came back and finished watching.
Well, and they got 3 9s. They got 3 9s as well.
Right. Right.
And at this point in the show, I made a note. I said, "Boy, is Julianne shrill tonight."
She was.
Oh man.
So it wasn't my volume. I kept lowering the volume, and I kept getting. Ugh.
No, it was her. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, she was wired. She was definitely wired.
Yeah. Well, it's it's gearing up for this night. Everybody gears up for it.
Yeah.
Couple number 5 was Alec and Lindsay.
Right. Paso.
Now I
love the Paso. I thought it wasn't my favorite Paso, and I love Lindsay too, but he's so much fun to watch. You know, Alec. Yeah,
I almost felt like he was overwhelmed by the emotion of the week, because I said he almost felt like he was emotionally blocked during the dance. Right. You know, I felt like he was just on the edge of letting go and letting the Paso needs that passion. Right. And I felt like he almost felt like he was afraid to do that, because there was had a dam and there was a bunch of emotion behind it that if he let it go, he wasn't going to be able to stop it, because he had a very tough week.
It's like wherever Alec goes, danger follows.
But I love this guy. I hope they stay. I hope they're there.
He's a fan favorite. My God, the guy is definitely a hero. He's so adorable. He's good eye candy, but he's also real. And for someone who's a novice and really never danced before, he's picked it up beautifully. So yeah, I'm totally on. I'd love to see him stay around. Should he be in the finals? Unless he really like shocks us and does like amazing stuff. Probably not. But I'm good for the next couple of weeks. I don't want him to go home right away.
Yeah, I'd like him to at least stick around till the semis.
I agree. Yeah.
So they ended up with 3/8, 24.
Right, right.
So number 6 was Nick and Sharna doing a jazz number to Backstreet Is Back.
I thought he did great.
The first time I watched it, my video that I was watching, the sound cut out.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. I mean, I had no music. I had all the dance, but the music was cut out. And I don't know if that was a licensing thing that the uploader was trying to prevent.
Oh, weird.
But then I went back and watched it again, a video that had the whole thing, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, and I thought Sharna's choreography was wonderful, right? I love the choreography.
Yeah.
It was a good dance. I know Nick has said things like, and I've heard this, not every boy band guy is like a perfect dancer. He said he's probably the worst of them. I still kind of feel like when they have a boy band guy on, they're almost ringers. They're just such good, movers, and something like a jazz dance is like tailor-made for their little choreographies that they would do on stage and stuff like that.
Except then you get Andy Grammer, who I feel like is still awkward in week 4.
Right. We'll get to it. I agree. I totally agreed with the judges on him, but yeah. But 999, I was very happy Nick got a good score. He's taking this very seriously.
He really is. I mean, it's
such an effort. Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm looking forward to some more of their dances.
Me too.
Number 7, we have, who do we have?
Carlos and
I wrote Alex and Whitney, and I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Carlos and Whitney doing, was that Viennese waltz or was that just a waltz?
I think it was a regular waltz, but now that you mentioned it, I think it was just a waltz.
To Amazing Grace, he chose 2012 as his most memorable year, which I thought was really touching. I mean, I wasn't really expecting that from this, kind of macho Latino,
Right.
Right. So that was refreshing to see, and I thought the choreography was beautiful, and I thought, Whitney looked fantastic.
Yeah, she did.
So they ended up with 988.
Yeah.
For a score of 25.
Good.
Which was, but weren't they still nitpicking on him?
They were.
Poor guy, no matter what he does, he gets nitpicked on.
It's true.
Couple 8 was Paula and Louie doing a cha-cha to Respect.
Right.
She chose 1989, the year she basically got divorced.
Right. I loved her package, but I'm one of these weird people who, I'm probably like a lot of Americans, and I'm not always one for like bring them down and tear them back up. I've always felt, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that her punishment for her transgressions were really heavy-handed compared to like other stuff that goes on. She lost a hell of a lot. Not my problem, but I truly don't think that there's like this horrible person in there. And I always felt like she's very warm. And when I saw her package, it reminded me, and I think I might have seen her story on the Food Network's Chefography. It's very possible where they profile a lot of their chefs and how she like got out of that marriage, raised her boys, started the Bag Lady. I love that story. I love Ina's story. I love those stories on how you make it, because making it in the food world is as difficult as making it in the acting world. I mean, you got to have breaks, you got to have timing, you know what I mean? And there's debts involved. So I loved her package, and I just love the way, and when she did her dance, the way she moves. But I completely agree with, I think it was Carrie Ann, maybe it was all of them. Week 4, she's got to learn and stick with the choreography. Using it at the end, it's just not going to cut it, because it takes like a really cool thing where this woman is moving, and she has beautiful legs and everything.
Yeah. That was my note, that those legs again.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my take.
So yeah, I'm interested to see who she's going to get in the switch up, and see how she does with a different partner, because we'll find out if it's her or if it's the partnership. So they ended up with 3 6s for 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, she very well could be.
Yeah.
Number 9 was Andy and Allison doing a cha-cha.
Right.
He chose 2009, which was the year he lost his mother to breast cancer. Right. I mean, he chose to do it to his current single. I kept thinking that he should have been doing it to the one he said he wrote after that whole thing. I
assume it's You Got to Keep Your Head Up. Wasn't that his first big?
Yeah, wasn't it? Whatever he said was the one that he broke through with.
That's the one from 2011. That's the one he sang it. I remember from Pedapalooza in Vegas when David was there. And
So I felt like it would have been even more,
Yeah, I agree. Maybe it's a tough one to cha-cha.
Maybe. But my comment was, where was the cha-cha?
Right. That was kind of the problem, too.
I was just kind of like...
He's just awkward. It was just, he, like, gets certain moves fine, and then there's sort of, like, a little lumbering, like, a little stiffness, so... And I just kind of think of, like, a young, athletic-looking guy should be good, but not everyone is. It's, you know, not everyone.
Yeah, he actually reminds me of a gawky teenager.
Right, exactly.
You know, of a boy who's gone through a growth spurt at about 14 or 15 and suddenly has 6 more inches on his legs and arms, and he doesn't know what to do with them yet.
He sure has a good partner in Allison. I mean, you know, you're not going to get much better than her, so.
Yeah, and congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Having a baby. I don't think she has to worry about him being in the finals and being 6 months pregnant with him in the finals.
My favorite thing I've seen tweeted in the last 24 hours is congratulations to them. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but we're sure there'll be a contestant on season 44.
Yeah, they'll win, so you think you can dance 44. Yeah, I saw that. So they ended up with, and the judges were also critical of him. The judges were critical this week, even though it was most memorable year week.
Yeah.
And I kind of agreed with a lot of the stuff. He, you know, he'll hunch and he'll have
Right.
floppy arms, and
yeah.
So, but they had 788 for 23.
Sounded about right.
Um,
and then are we up to Bindi?
We are up to Bindi. I had a note here, but I can't read my. Oh, I guess I'm tired of seeing sneakers on the guys. I had a note that I couldn't read.
Yeah. Bindi, I felt that was the dance of the night. I think the judges felt it was the dance of the night. I also thought it was the package of the night. And I actually got a little emotional, maybe because she did. It just, all of it seemed really genuine, like really honest. There was no BSing in the emotion of both the package, the dance, her reaction. I just thought it was like an amazing way to end the show. But,
well, yeah, and I'm sure that's why they went last. I'm sure that they were, because they showed rehearsal. I saw excerpts of rehearsal from earlier in the week that weren't part of the package.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it was during the show or if it was when I was watching some pre-show stuff, but the camera people were crying.
Right.
So it was like, I'm sure they reported back and they went, whoa, we can't, nobody's going to want to have to go after this.
I sometimes wonder if in rehearsal, it's in one order and they sometimes do tweak the order. I mean, they have the right to do that, right?
Yeah.
If they decide, you know, for the show, or even during blocking, they may make some changes. So they must react to the story and how they're doing it.
Yeah, because I mean, my only problem was that Every Breath You Take is a stalker song. You know, that's not the way she was using it and interpreting it. I know,
it's interesting to see it. Yeah, we know what it's about. But I bet a lot of people out there don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the police are
not really new anymore. It's like 30 years old. So
don't say that.
I already had my police moment a few years ago when I realized Roxanne was like 1979. So I think in like 2009, I freaked out that song was already 30 years old.
Oh man!
I remember going through that with the police and thinking, oh my God, they were like my college band. So
they got the first 10 of the season.
I'll tell you what I loved also about Bindi. She's such a contender. She'll be in the finals, I'm sure of it. Her acting, I mean, the facial expressions. I mean, she was such a good performer, not just the moves, but, you know, doing her contemporary thing and the facial. She was awesome. I really was.
I think I said that a couple of weeks ago. I said, what a great little actress she turned out to be.
Really
but you know what? I'm not so sure. She's such a genuine person. I'm not so sure it's acting as it is her not being afraid to actually express what she's feeling.
Either way, kudos to her, because as a dancer, you want to do that.
Exactly. So they were that that was and I got more than a little emotional. I was a mess.
Yeah,
I was watching.
I was surprised.
So, and then the bottom two, they pulled out Carlos and Whitney with Gary and Anna. And I wrote, really beside Carlos and Whitney? Because I don't know.
And were Carlos and Whitney really second from the bottom? Because I get very confused with Dancing with the Stars. Because in the old days, they never used to. They used to say no particular order when they were like doing a whole bunch of people coming out.
Well, they changed it this year. They changed it this season because they used to announce everybody. You know, tell every individual couple whether or not they were safe or in jeopardy. So they went down the whole list, and everybody got pulled in. But this year they're just basically doing the bottom two because they used to have 3.
Right.
Last season, didn't they have 3?
Used to have 3. I think they're streamlining it. I kind of like it streamlined. I think when you have a results night, the results show was okay. It's an hour show if you had good entertainment on it. You had the troupe, and sometimes you had the kids, and they made a whole show out of it, and then they would string people along with pulling people out. In this case, if they're restricted to one night, I kind of like the just who's at the bottom at the end. It's a little less of a suspense thing, but
yeah. Well, and I think they maybe got an awful lot of backlash.
Yeah.
The past season or 2 when they were telling people midway through the show whether or not they were in jeopardy.
Right.
Because that's like, and you're in jeopardy and go dance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we talked about that last week or the week before. I really like not having them find out they're in jeopardy at the beginning of the show or halfway through the show when they still have dances. Exactly. Much more fair. And remember, last night wasn't just based on last week's; it was based on the last 2 weeks because no one, because of
right. And they're carrying scores from this week and next week because they won't eliminate anybody switch up week.
Right.
Is that correct?
It'll be another 2 week. Right. I don't think they eliminate on switch up. They wait another week and then add them. So they'll add this to next, and in 2 weeks is the next elimination.
Right.
Unless ABC is putting on a second night next week, which I don't think they are.
I don't think so. No, I think this is the first 2 weeks were the only 2 weeks that they had 2 shows.
And not only that, network TV is coming up against baseball playoffs. So I don't think anyone's, unless ABC, to counter program, feels Dancing with the Stars is a good alternative rather than one of their hour-long or, dramas, and they feel that's a different audience.
No, I'm pretty sure that they're sticking to just a performance night on Monday.
I agree. Yeah.
So
there you go. Interesting week. I'm still not thinking this is my favorite season so far, but seasons like this, sometimes I get really into it when we're down close to the semifinals and you've got your really good people. And then you start seeing some amazing improvements and maneuvers, and maybe we'll have some good group. We haven't had a group dance in a while. Didn't they used to do I used to call them the Battle Royale, the elimination group where they're all dancing and then they pull a couple out. I haven't seen that in a couple of seasons.
I haven't seen that, but they will do a group dance.
Right. They do a group dance, right?
And then somebody from one of the groups ends up being one of the teams. It's team dancing. They don't call it group dance. They call it team dancing. I
feel like we're maybe 2 or 3 weeks away from that. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. I think they like to get it down to a manageable number of no more than 4 couples on each team.
So you have.
Then it gets tough to choreograph quickly choreograph for non-professional dancers.
Exactly.
So I did make a note that when they were getting ready to announce who was going home, I was looking at Anna's face and I was like, oh, Anna knows.
She knows.
She knows. Yeah. She knows it's them.
So
sad to see her go, but maybe we'll get to see her on AfterBuzz. So she was terrific.
Well, maybe next time she'll get it. You never know. It's funny. I haven't figured out the method to grouping people, whether some pros always get it, they mix it up. I do feel like they do kind of personality things. When Max was on, there was a very specific, I believe he got Kirstie Alley. They look for fiery kind of people, for him.
Part of it also is height. Because Max was one of the taller pros.
Right.
So any of the tall women ended up with Max because Erin Andrews ended up with Max. So Erin Andrews is 6 foot?
Right. But then there were a number of years, what I call the middle years on the show, when I felt for about 4 seasons in a row, it was about 2 years because there's 2 a season, 2 a year, 2 seasons per year. I felt like Cheryl Burke kept getting the people who were going to be out in 2 or 3 weeks. They just kept doing that to her. And I wondered if that was on purpose. And then she ended up getting someone, I don't know, remember if she won or came really close. So I don't know how they spread it out, whether they try. Derek often gets a contender, but not always. It's very seldom Derek doesn't make it to the last 3 weeks. Of course,
although when you go back and look, there are some seasons that
early
people who turn out to be so good that with Derek that you're kind of nobody really ever expected out of him. Joanna Krupa, I remember, who was a spokesmodel or something, who was evidently very, very stiff.
Right.
And it was we don't know how she's going to do. And when he danced with Jennifer Grey was 50-something when they danced and had cancer. And
she's not much younger than me, couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, rods in her neck and all of that kind of stuff. So even though you would think they're going to be, that they should be these terrific contenders, you're like, but Bethany Mota, who was a YouTube girl,
right,
much like Hayes, but a little bit older, a couple of years older, I think, maybe a year older, and Amber Riley,
yeah,
you know, from Glee, who he won with, and I would never have thought that
wouldn't guess
she would win Dancing with the Stars.
Well, it's a testament to her being a good learner, being basically good. Him being he is a. I mean, everything I see, he's definitely a great teacher and probably their best choreographer. So,
yeah, I would say he's definitely their best choreographer. Their most innovative choreographer. I mean, I've just seen Kenny Ortega just raved on him a couple of different interviews that I saw.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, when you've got one of the best choreographers working today, raving about another, you know, a Dancing with the Stars choreographer, then yeah, he's definitely got something special. That's not just the people who are fans of his thinking that he's got something special. So, but we'll see. I'm interested to see more from them, to see what they do, and I'm interested to see more from Sharna, because they have not yet danced a contemporary. I was trying to go back and look and see who was. Who had not danced what. And also next week for Switch Up, there's a little romance brewing behind the scenes.
I did not hear this.
Well, it's kept pretty quiet. They're not putting it out there much, but I mean, from what I've read in certain places, there may be a little bit of a budding romance between Alec and Emma.
Oh.
So, you know, which they didn't push at all last week during that tango package that when Lindsay was trying to go get him to get his sexy on.
Well, it'd be interesting if they put him with her.
Yeah, I would kind of like to see if there's what happens when he's got somebody that he definitely knows that there might be a little bit of a spark there, because he knows Lindsay knows.
Be a connection on the dance floor, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Anyway, so yes, next week is Switch Up week. I'm sure this week we'll start getting leaked couples about who's dancing with who, because that usually happens.
Right.
So we'll keep an eye on and see you all next week.
Awesome.
So
ciao for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.